welcome back to another episode of The Monsters Within. Now, I like to start every episode with just reminding everybody that this is a safe space. There is no commitment, there's no worry or fear, there's no judgment in this space. Take a deep breath, unwind, and relax. Now, today I want to talk about a topic that is a little more controversial, if you might say. We're going to be getting into depression and how it could possibly be linked to birth control. Now, guys, if you're listening, this isn't really an episode for you. This is more tailored to my female listeners. But feel free to keep listening. It might shed a little bit of insight on why the lady of your life is feeling the way she's feeling. And I applaud you if you stick around. So, what does birth control do? I mean, if you're listening from the United States, birth control isn't a foreign thing to any of us here. Maybe you're a teenage girl just learning about these things. Well, I've got some pretty good information for you here. Now, birth control is a contraceptive that is used to prevent pregnancies, and it has hormones in it. And there's no such thing as a non-hormonal birth control. It's made up of man-made versions of hormones that we already have in our bodies as women. So estrogen, progesterone, and these all are used to prevent the release of eggs into our bodies. I know that sounds a little strange, but this is just how our human reproductive system works. Now, the cervical mucus becomes thicker, making it harder for sperm to swim through the urethra. I'm sorry. Through the uterus. That all sounds really technical and kind of gross, but in order for us not to get pregnant, we take these pills in order to prevent ourselves from an unplanned pregnancy. What are some side effects of birth control? Well, spotting or irregular bleeding and irregular cycles. Tender or sore breast muscles, and that's never fun to deal with. Nausea, and don't let that scare you. It's not morning sickness. Change in libido, so either a high or low sex drive. Some women see either or. Headaches, loss and gain of weight, mood swings, or possible chemical depression. And that kind of circles back to what it is that we're getting into today. So let's just do a refresher on what depression is for those of you who may not know too much about it and know that people just get quote unquote depressed. Depression is a clinical or situational sadness. Now, if you're new here, I would highly suggest that you go back to my second video, where I talk about clinical and situational depression. And that'll give you a 25-minute crash course on both situational and clinical depression. chemical depression or emotional depression based on either chemical imbalance in the brain or due to a sudden major life change. Now, that doesn't seem very clear. And let me just clear that up. Chemical, otherwise known as clinical depression, is the chemical imbalance. Situational is the depression based on the major life changes. Again, I refer you back to my second episode where I talk about this in a little more depth. Persistent sadness and or anxiety, feeling hopelessness or worthlessness, lost passion for activities or spending time with loved ones, can be diagnosed and treated with medication or lifestyle changes. Now, that's just a refresher. And depression is no laughing matter. If you know somebody who is really suffering, let them know you're there. They may not want it at the time, but knowing that you're there to talk to them can be all the difference in the world. So, birth control. We use it to protect ourselves from unplanned pregnancies and maybe getting the chemicals in our body to get back to a somewhat normal state. So if you have an irregular period without it, you may use it to bring yourself back to a regular cycle. Some people use it to actually strengthen your ability to have kids because you get off of it and it helps make that more possible. That's in some cases, and that's only purely from secondhand knowledge that I have acquired over the years. So talk to your doctor about what birth control would be right for you. I currently have the Nexus implant that lasts 5 years. And that one is just a tiny plastic rod in my arm that emits progesterone into my body. Now, I've had a very rocky situation with my birth control. To begin with, it gave me higher libido, more weight, very irregular cycle, spotting, breast tenderness. It just hasn't been the most pleasant experience. I've experienced hot flashes. That was very unusual. Chemical imbalances that I noticed through the sign of one ear being red and hot more than the other. Very, very strange. And I've talked to my doctor and they have told me, well, this is just how your body reacts to it. Do your research, ladies. Before you go and get birth control, know what it is that you're getting yourself into. Because is it really worth it in the long run to try this one, or is it better to try that one? And it's your body. You decide what you want to do with it. All right, let's get back on topic. So, links between birth control and depression. I looked everywhere. I looked and I looked and I looked, and it all boiled down to the same conclusion. The research is it's two-sided. Some people will say that it is the overuse of the word depression for people experiencing heavier sadness, while other researchers will tell you that there is a link to depression and birth control. Now, there is a division because of the inconsistency in the findings. But, and I'm going to quote from one of the articles that I looked at from healthline.com, a pilot study showed that depression is more common in women who stop using birth control. It is also found that women using birth control pills are significantly more depressed than similar groups of women not taking the pill. In contrast, a more recent study published in the AGO, which is the Archives of Gynecology in, well, we'll scratch that one for now. It concludes that depression isn't a common side effect of birth control. This study has maintained that the link between the two are unclear. Well, I mean, to me, that boils down to it's just not being documented properly, or it's not being talked about enough by us women to our doctors, our gynecologists, whoever. Ladies, I urge you, get out there, talk to your doctors, make it more well known so we can get these answers in a scientific way. Have studies done, control groups. There was a article on Harvard Health that I found that teenagers between the ages of 18 to 25 actually started showing symptoms of depression after taking birth control. But women older than that didn't start showing symptoms. However, they still shouldn't throw around that genetic fact. The connection between birth control may be linked, or there may be a pre-existing clinical depression in people. Now, I need you guys to hear this. There are more than 12 million women out there in the world today who suffer from clinical depression. 12 million. Let that sink in. And the link between depression and birth control, out of 10 women, 2.2 of them are showing symptoms. But we have 12 million women out there today who have clinical depression. That's an astounding number. Sadly, as I've said earlier on, that there's just not enough evidence. So, guys, what can we do? What can we do to make this more of a burning question in our psychologists, in our psychiatric wards, in our health care? What can we do? Well, some of the things that we can do are talking to our doctors more candidly about what's going on with our bodies when we are on birth control. Documenting the days that we are more depressed than days where we are not while we're on birth control. These are just two things that we can do. But I'm sure that you as listeners can think of other things. And I would love to hear your comments down below in the comment section, or hit me up on my email and tell me what you think are other ways we can approach this situation. I would love to know. Now, it's not too much of a conversation, and there's really not much out there. I would have liked to dive more into this, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, I wasn't able to do more extensive research into this topic, but I probably will be coming back to it at some point. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below of your take on this topic. And next week, I'm going to be doing a interview with a friend of mine who also suffers from depression and is a father. So next week we'll be having that interview, and I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to do it. So I hope you guys are all safe, and I know that this is a hard time, but keep pulling through. And if you need that extra little boost of help, I've got a great opportunity for you guys to take control of your emotional and mental state. And me and Uber have paired up to offer you guys a referral to their wonderful app. It is a AI therapist in your pocket who customizes their experience each conversation that you have with them. It allows you to track your emotions, how you feel after the conversation, what triggers the different emotions. I mean, it's even got this really, really cool little feature of giving you a personality test, and it's just for you. I'm personally an activist, but give it a try. I'll leave a link down below in the description for you guys to check that out, and I really hope that you do. I wouldn't be suggesting this if it wasn't absolutely free. So give it a try, and I really hope to see you guys next time. Until then, stay safe, and remember, this is a safe space.